Hey, I think amazing is a bit of a stretch, bro.
What word would you like? What um what adjective should I use?
Um, Meh, he's trying.
Okay. We got Daniel
He's doing
who's
his best effort.
right. We got Daniel who's trying. Brother, how are you, man?
I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed.
Good, brother. And how's the family? Everyone well?
Yeah, kids. Doing school, cleaning up.
Mm-hmm. Cool, brother. So what's the time where you are?
It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon where I am. I'm
Okay.
trying to have my thing sitting right.
Say again.
I'm trying to sit my camera right. Yeah.
Cool, man. Brother, as I said, thank you so much for being with us today. I really
Thanks for
wanted to
having me.
start, no problem, man. I really wanted to start by talking a little bit about, because, as we're reflecting on kind of diversity and race and all this stuff during this month, obviously, but also
Yeah.
reflecting on, I guess, those spaces that could have something to say and could be a real galvanizing force in bringing people together to bring about change and things like that.
Yeah.
The church obviously sits somewhere near the top of those institutions, those organizations that could have something to say. However, we know that Holden Ministries thinks about church a little differently, right? So
Yeah.
I thought, let's go back a bit before we go forward, you know? And
Yeah.
let's hear a bit about how you think about church, and maybe how we can all at least start to think about church.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. We can. Yeah. So my dad was a pastor, right?
Hmm.
So I've been around church all my life. And like, so when I was given the choice to go to college, my mom was like, "Yeah, you're gonna be a minister like your dad." I was like, "Yeah, no, I'm gonna study accounting
Yeah,
because that's sexy. Everyone
yeah,
loves accountants." So yeah, I chose accounting. I ended up hating it, but I got into the business field and I realized that like the impact that church could have and should have is so much more than it currently does. And I feel like currently the people that could say the most about it are pastors.
mm,
And you guys have to behave, say nice things
yeah,
because that's your employer.
yeah,
So the way I want to tackle it is like, what if that's not my employer? What if I can say what I want,
mm,
which sounded good,
hmm,
but then it's like, how do I get paid
yeah,
then?
yeah,
Yeah, so that's the way I look at ministry. I love God. I believe in Seventh-day Adventism, but I'm like, I wanna tackle it from the outside.
yeah.
You know, I really
And what
want
is
to
that? So go on.
Sorry?
No, go ahead.
No, I really want to challenge like unless things are challenged, they don't grow, and I want to be the one to challenge our church into growth.
Mm. So that's how long would you say you've been on that mission?
So I'd say I've been on it for about 3 years or so. I was in no, I guess since 2016, so 4 years. So I started seminary in 16,
Hmm.
and before that, I guess I was planning on it, but I would say I've been on it my whole life
Mm, mm,
because I was talking to my cousin Nate.
hmm.
I guess it was a couple of years ago now because I'm old, but he asked me like, "What would your dad think about what you're doing?" And I was like, "Oh man, I don't even know." So
Mm,
then I was sitting there reading some some of my dad's books, and I realized that he said the same thing. Like at one point in his book, he was talking about Jacob, finding the Spirit when he was sleeping on the rock, and he was like, the fact that the Holy Spirit, that God was out there, kind of shouts that maybe God shouldn't be confined to the real estate called church.
mm.
And I was like, bruh, Dad, did you read my book? Have you been here this whole time? And I've I feel like maybe I've been being prepared for this for longer than I've known.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Love it, love it. So,
yeah.
fill it out a bit. Fill out the ministry a little bit more, and fill everyone out a bit more of the information about kind of what you do.
So I don't know. So like from so like when I first started, right?
Yeah.
I really felt the calling in probably about 2013, 14. I was an officer in the United States Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized I was a project manager. I was in my dream job. You know, I married my wife. I had my children. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, yo, I should really be happy right now. But I
Mm-hmm.
really felt like that was not what God was calling me to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I I left the Air Force. My commander was like, yo, why are you leaving? You have a comfortable job, like you get paid money. So I left. I went to seminary. And I went to seminary, and like I got back into the Air Force as a chaplain candidate.
Oh, wow.
So my boss and people in the Air Force were like, listen, you'll never get back in. It's hard enough to get in one time. You'll never get in twice. So I was
Mm-hmm.
like, all right, well, clearly you don't know who my God is. I'll see you on the other side. So I got into seminary. I got back into the Air Force chaplain candidacy program, and I didn't like it either. Like I was like, yeah, this is not it either.
Mm-hmm.
So like um I've just been trying to discover like what is it that God wants for me. I know it's not like I know if I can continue my MDiv, I'm gonna end up getting offered a job as a pastor, and because I ain't got a job, I'm gonna accept it and be unhappy
Yeah,
too. So let
yeah,
me quit this.
yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
So you quit. So you were studying for the ministry. You quit that as well.
yeah. But, I
Uh,
mean, not that I'm a critter, but I just like I just
you know when it's not
realized that
right for you.
yeah, like I realized that it was grooming me to be a pastor of a church, which I've always called, like no offense, I've always called it um watching a fish tank. Like you're trying to reach people that are already reached.
Mm,
So when you should be growing sharks, you're tending goldfish.
wow.
So
Wow.
that's how I've always looked at, and I've really always felt that people in church, like they do some of the most outrageous things. Like members do some crazy things, and like if there wasn't a pastor there to watch them, they wouldn't do things to cry for attention.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me not
Mm,
let me let someone else deal with that. That's plenty of people's calling,
cool.
but it's not mine. So I guess the difficult thing is finding out what that actually means.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, if I talk to a rational person, they'll be like, "Well, it's never been done before, so it can't be done." And my thing is like, just because it hasn't been done before doesn't mean it's impossible. It doesn't mean that
Mm-hmm.
that's not what God wants me to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I've
So
just been
what?
trying to, huh?
So go ahead. No, carry on. Go ahead.
I've just been trying to identify what it is, like what I can bring, like how I can help. And just lately, that's been just getting a lot clearer.
And so,
Yeah,
you left the education. When? How long ago?
about 2 years.
Okay. So for the last two
Yeah.
years, what does that look like?
All right, so there's a lot of tears and a lot of tears, a lot of unemployment.
Yeah.
So like, well, first of all, like, my mom died in February of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So when my mom died in February, I had just lost my job a week before she
Mm-hmm.
died. So then when I just didn't get another job. So I was unemployed for like 10 months.
Mm-hmm.
Just, I don't know how things worked out, but God worked it out. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So then in January 2019, I moved back to Boston, and I was a business manager and at Seventh-day Adventist Christian school.
Mm-hmm.
So one day I went to the bathroom and I became the Bible teacher too, and and I actually enjoyed that because they gave me some great controversy tracks and stuff. So like, yeah, make them fill out these. I was like, no, I'm not doing it. They're not gonna grow by filling in these things. You're not
Mm-hmm.
interacting with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I said no. and just did a lesson plan every day. And it was very challenging, but I found that it was I think the class benefited from it more than they would have those leaflets. I try and talk to the students occasionally to see, like, yo, what do you think of that class? Like, I know I was a terrible teacher, but I mean, did you at least learn something?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Wow.
so then after 6 months, they decided that so I came to that position because they wanted to change. They wanted to see some things different. So when I came in and introduced the different things, they were like, yeah, now we want to do exactly the same as we've been doing. So that job got discontinued conveniently. So I went back to working for the government.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've just been trying to do things on the side. Like so right now I'm working on this. So
Pray.
I pray standing up.
I pray standing up.
Yeah, I find
like
that
I
a
like
lot of
that.
the time Christians, we kind of say I'm praying for you, but like it feels like we're not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
And to someone who doesn't know what prayer is, they don't realize that's what prayer feels like all the time.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
So like when we can pray and stand with someone,
Yeah.
we can pray and just empathize, protest, just listen. It's more impactful. So I've started a t-shirt line. This is the first of my t-shirts. It hasn't come out yet, but it's in
It's
my house. So
exclusive. You're giving us exclusive, yeah?
yeah, this is the first time it's ever been seen. This is actually the first time I'm seeing it on screen. So yeah.
Exclusive. That's what we do, ladies and gentlemen. We bring you that exclusive. All right,
Yeah.
so cool. All right, so then tell us now a little bit about we are the church. Tell us a bit about that, because that is, I guess, that's your baby, right? That's your baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wrote a book called I Am Church about I guess I wrote it was about just before I left seminary, because I know it was just before I left seminary, because on all of my papers I would I reference myself. Yo, if you ever write a book, you have to reference yourself on all academic papers. I thought that was so clever.
I think that's sick.
Yeah, but I mean, I got my grades, but my teachers never said anything about it. I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
So basically, I found that the church would have more power. The church has a circle of influence, right? And so right now, as a pastor, preaching to a congregation that's just spectating.
Yeah.
But if that congregation was all empowered to do their own type of ministry, the circle of influence would be so much larger.
Right.
So I Am Church is about just expanding that circle of influence to beyond what church is right now. So yeah, that's what. Yeah, and it was really all about creating a, like, it was the phrase was in my mind the whole time, like, I don't do spectator church.
Yeah.
I don't want to do normal church no more.
Yeah.
So that's basically the phrase that I thought of the whole book, and I really wrote the book to my brother, because my brother told me he wouldn't read it, and I'm very competitive. So I was like, you're gonna enjoy this book the whole time. You're gonna read it, and you're like, oh, this is very good. I don't think you read it, but
but you had him in mind when you were writing it.
Yeah, I had him in mind when I was writing it, and I have had some friends, and really it's targeted towards people outside of the traditional church. So like the name of my brand right now is so this T-shirt is going to be under Outhouse Ministries. So I always think of an outhouse as a part of the church, part of the house, but it's a part that no one likes. Like
Wow.
if you're a reject of the house, you get sent. No, you
To the
can't come in the real
house.
house. You got to go to our house.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
our house ministries, through t-shirts and content, I just want to reach people who have been neglected by the traditional church body, and not just reach them to have them be spectators, but reach them to empower them into ministry. And when they're empowered into ministry, then the church will be like, yo, if we did that with people inside here, we would be really effective.
Mm. But then why are you trying to make people uncomfortable, bro? Like, we're comfortable. We like the way things are. We like spectating. We've been here for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years. We're doing all right. Why are you trying to upset people, man?
So it's my dad's fault.
Okay.
I blame my dad.
Okay.
I remember going to church with my dad one day, and he was telling me about every time he preaches a sermon, he has to offend someone.
Wow.
Like he's like, if you're not offended, you're not gonna change. If I tell you like, oh yeah, look, your tie is all right, yeah, you're gonna be like, oh cool, my tie's all right. But if I tell you, yo, your tie is terrible, you need to change it today, you're gonna be like, maybe I should buy a different tie. So like I kind of don't want to be involved in comfortable ministry, because like even in church, like when I used to preach, like people would be like, amen, 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 but no one would do nothing. It's just the amen is just stroking my ego. And it just lulls me back into a silence.
Imagine that. We've got Chabuza down here, our speaker for our devotional speaker for the week. Lord, throw the spectators into the sea. She don't play. No, but it's mad because it's no one's fault. Like, this is the thing. It's weird because when we speak to this, some people automatically feel as though, I don't know if it's their own sense of guilt or what it is, but some people feel like you're pointing the finger. But
I want them to be offended.
Oh, you do?
I mean, but because they don't pay me, so they don't pay me. Like, who you gonna complain to? Like, I just want you to know that I'm unhappy. And I think that Jesus would be unhappy too.
And this was really interesting, and this is what I liked about speaking to you, because obviously you've got both contexts. You've spent most of your life in the UK. Well, I don't know if it's most of your life now. You spent your
right now this year. 17 years I've been in the States. I moved here when I was 18. So yes, today I spent most of my life in the UK.
So literally, we're basically we've nearly had 50% in the UK, 50% now in the US. How, and obviously you're at the US in a very I guess every year seems to be another momentous year in history. But
it's same for you. Your UK is doing just like we are. We're looking at you guys are looking at us, pointing fingers, but it's both of us.
So we are all living through these. Every year seems like another momentous year, right? And I just wondered from your perspective, it's nice to get the perspective of what life is like out there in terms of what you see the church doing or not doing at this time with the unrest of all the issues that are going on. That's fine. It's nice to have the perspective from someone who understands the British mindset. You kind of break it down to us, like what it's actually like, what's going on out there, and what is the church up to out there in the middle of all of this.
So I'm very skeptical. So like the church is closed, but every congregation is doing their own Facebook or Instagram live. And I'm like, you know what? Everyone's doing their own Instagram live. Why don't you just do one, and the rest of you guys do something useful?
You know the icon. Everyone knows the icon.
So I'm like, we like, pastoring is great. Like it's great. It's a calling. But like, we don't need so many right now. We need more troublemakers. We need more people that are gonna like get out there. Like, and when you speak to people, 90% of the people are gonna cuss you out. They're not gonna speak to you. but we need people that are gonna, just do it for that 10%.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. No, you raised a good point. I haven't really spoken about it too much with actually anyone actually to when I think about it. But yeah, this proliferation on a Saturday or on a Sunday on the weekend, basically, this proliferation of services streamed from all these places. It's really weird because what actually, so for example, us, we don't try. I try as best as possible for us not to Templeway not to really do much on the weekend. We meet as a small group online, but we're trying to do as much of our ministry Monday to Friday, and then on the weekend really slow it down, because the point is, like, we're not competing. I'm not competing for people's attention, and it doesn't make sense. It seems so obvious that what can happen for the spectator, especially for the spectator, is now just like when there's numerous playoff games on at the same time. Like it's same with church. I can have a few tabs open on my screen. I click from this to this to this to this. To this. Like, church hopping hasn't gone away. It's just become a virtual activity now. And I'm just like, well, I'm not competing with that, and it really doesn't make no sense. Like, because they're only here if people who are tuning in right now to this, these are the people, because you're getting on with your normal A to B lifestyle, and you've chosen to pause the Netflix, or maybe you've got Netflix on the side. I don't mind. I don't care. But the point is, you've chosen in your normal day to be like, nah, I know they're going to be talking about faith and God and these things, and I think it's that important that even when I'm not supposed to be, or I don't have to be there, I need to be listening and part of this conversation. And that's huge. Like, that, I think, is when I think a transformation is taking place within people, or has taken place within people, when they are realizing, as you're saying, that I am church. Church is more than just this activity I do on the weekend.
It shouldn't be confined to the weekend.
Yeah, I want to be fueled with this all the time. Speak on that a bit.
You know what really inspired me? Bobby Ravel's song "Love." Like there was one part. He's like, I want to love you like a bee loves a honey, like a monkey, like I want to, like, it was like he's like trying to say, like, I want to need you. And like, I really felt that church was confined to the weekend. I want you to let me know what you think of this. I used to always say to myself, because I can't say it to anyone else, but I used to say, yo, divine service is an oxymoron. Because even Isaiah 50, is it 58? I mean, Isaiah 56, maybe somewhere in Isaiah. God says, this is the Sabbath that I want, and it doesn't say anything about scripture reading, prayer. So I always said to myself, like, divine service is an oxymoron, because it's not what God has asked from us as a rest on this day.
So so you're talking about there, just this idea of a liturgy or an order of service or a program that we go through on the weekend as part of our ritual. It seems a bit. That's what it is, isn't it? It's ritualistic, and rituals can often sometimes lose the reason why they were instituted, and instead it becomes just a ritual. And what's so dangerous about that, Daniel? Thank you for taking us there. Like, what's so dangerous about that is when actually a moment comes, like we're living in now, where where surely we should have something to say or something to stand up for. It's such a jump from the spectator routine ritual style that Christianity has become for many, or our religion has become for many of us. That is the gulf to jump is just so huge. And then when they see kind of some people speaking to it, I cannot believe how many Christians that I've grown up with who Christians, Black Christians, African people from the African diaspora, who were so negative on Black Lives Matter movement. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand where some people are coming from when they start and they've got issue with the organization, or they find fault within the organization. But what surprised me so much is, bruh, you don't do that much digging on the company you work for. You don't do that much digging. On the people, the political parties that you that you vote for, right? But you are holding this organization that are trying to stand for something under a level of scrutiny that you don't hold everything else for. And that was surprising to me. But yeah, that has surprised me. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments if that has also surprised you. I don't know if you've had the same experience where you've been surprised by the in some quarters, and often the Christian quarters, the pushback there has been to even use the term Black Lives Matter because of the fear of what it may, or what some people within it may or may not believe. Now let me Nathaniel, I'm sure he will join us as soon as he gets his internet back. But this is really kind of, for me, it's quite interesting and speaks to another issue as it comes to like our oh, that's so true. Okay, cool. So you've seen it as well, Natasha. Yeah, just this, it's been phenomenal for me to see that when there is a moment in history where, as a something that attacks us as Black believers, it attacks us on two fronts. One, we're seeing injustice. It's so clear that this injustice exists towards a group of people, right? And so as a believer, you would think that we are opposed to oppression, right? But when that oppression is actually aimed towards us, either directly or indirectly, we feel funny about speaking to it, and instead we find reasons not to. And I really want, that's why Daniel as well is going to be really helpful in this conversation, because as I said, he has the two contexts from living in the UK for half of his life and now out in the US for half of his life. I want to know if that's something that he's experienced, because again, a lot of the time, sometimes what we see online, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram, whatever it is, it can create a kind of echo chamber around us. So we can think that all the world around us, or all the posts we're seeing, is a true representation of what's going on in the world. But actually, it's really sometimes an echo of maybe the top 10 to 50 people who post the most in your friend list. And then obviously we then see more and more of the things that we are used to seeing. Natasha says, it's like the saying, if we go to a TGI branch and the food is bad, we'll go to a different branch the next week. Very true. Right, we're holding older ministries back. Yeah, that's so true, Natasha. Like, yeah, that's crazy. Bad experience at a Black restaurant, and yes, that's very true. So Daniel, I've just been elaborating a little bit more on this.
No, I could hear it, but I just couldn't join it.
Oh, perfect. All right, great.
And it was the devil that did that, because he knows I was about to say something.
Go on, light it up.
He's like, get this guy off, get him off quick.
Go for it.
So I was like, yo, that is my trigger too. And I think that Christians' attitude to Black Lives Matter demonstrates how far we've come from Jesus. Because Jesus was friends with every protester around in his day of oppression. Like the Palestinian people experience the same type of oppression that Black people and brown people and anyone marginalized faces today. And for us to say, yo, those people that are being killed, they're transsexual, or their skirt is too short, or that like yo, fix your mouth, man.
Yeah.
I always think of Jesus being in heaven, like, I didn't do that.
Yeah. No,
So
that's huge. And that's huge. And I want to again just highlight what Natasha said, because I think she's got a massive point there. Like, it's almost like she's saying, you go to a Black restaurant, you tell everyone don't go there, like they're this, they're that. But you go to a TGI or another branch, and you just simply go to another branch, right? You won't label the whole franchise as a pile of, feces, right? So I think that's interesting, because that's exactly, Natasha, thank you so much. Like, that is exactly what I feel like we've done when it comes to Black Lives Matter. It's like, we've heard some things and we see some things about it that may or may not be true. Or as you've pointed out, Daniel, we see, oh, there's people who are not heteronormative or don't describe themselves in heteronormative terms. Oh no, this cannot, surely we can't attach ourselves to this, rather than taking all the bits that, the sentiment of it, right? The sentiment of it, which is that Black people matter. I mean, Black lives matter. Oh, what a crazy idea to say such a thing. And as I said, I've seen it. Why do you think, I know you've cut out again, Daniel, but you can hear me. So this is the question that I want you to think about when you jump back on, is I've seen more negativity towards the Black Lives Matter movement from Christian Black people than from, I think, any other group. I think, if I'm honest with you, I've seen more negativity towards it from Christian Black people than from non-Christian Black people, or from really anyone else, right? And to me, that is so surprising. And I think it goes to what you've been saying, Daniel, again. Teresa, that's the same thing as Black Christians voting Conservative or Republican. Makes no sense. You see, Teresa, that's an interesting point when it comes to politics, because I think that when it comes to politics, you can't really win with who you vote for. I don't think there's any winning. I think you have to, if you're going to vote, you kind of have to pitch your nose and vote, because yeah, I think there are massive reasons not, because here's the thing, right? And we're seeing it a lot in the UK. I'm slightly off topic, but we'll go there. Pro-Black and Christian. Oh, okay, all right, we'll go there. But I'm gonna, guys, allow me to just go along with this line just for a second, because I think it's interesting. I think that when it comes to politics, like or even labels in general, labels aren't particularly helpful, right? And so when you've got Conservative and Labour, like we do in the UK, and they're meant to be opposite each other, it doesn't actually work like that, because what happens is, within the policies that you actually see, there can be Labour views in a Conservative government in terms of policies, and there can be Conservative views in Labour policies, even though they claim to be what they are. And yes, on the face of things, they come out strongly as what they proclaim to be, to get those people who the extreme people to vote for them. But when it comes to the nitty gritty, you see something different. A prime example of that is just as we've seen with Corona and COVID and all of this, and how the furlough scheme and things like that have rolled out. That type of policy, the way in which the government did it, I would say is more a Labour way of dealing with it. The fact that people were furloughed and that people were actually paid to stay at home, I would have expected more the Conservative government to be like, we're all right. You know what I mean? Them conservative man there, they don't need no furlough. Don't worry about them. They'll be all right. So yeah, so these terms of Labour, they're not necessarily, I don't think they're too helpful, because there is nuance within the layers, right? But the fact that, and we don't dig on that level the same way we were willing to dig out Black Lives Matter. And for me, it speaks of self-hatred. And that to me is really quite sad, right? Where's Daniel? There we go. But yeah, that to me is what's been so surprising, that it's been Christian Black people who have been sometimes the strongest opponents of Black Lives Matter. What is that about, Daniel?
Yeah, I keep getting taken out the conversation every time you ask me a crucial question. It's like, yo, get rid of him quick. Yo, I think Christianity it holds hands with colonialism, and it almost tries to pacify, like we are crying out from our mistreatment, but Christianity and faith almost makes us not cry out. It kind of like pacifies us. Mm-hmm. Yes. So the missionary work is just colonialism. So I think
you're not used to saying controversial things, are you? You're not used to that at all, are you?
Well, that's I'm used to being fired from a job, but since I haven't got one, I can say what I want.
Go for
But
it.
so, and this Sunday we just had a conversation about decolonizing music with the
Yeah.
global potluck. And people are just having. We're talking. I've heard people talking about decolonizing food. Like colonization has affected our everything. And to be fair, I think that faith should speak out against all injustice. Faith should not be able to exist where any injustice does. And the fact that we can have alleged Christians for Trump, Seventh-day Adventists for Trump, you know, just like I don't know who was saying earlier, but our Christianity, it shouldn't persuade us to be bipartisan or favor a certain party, but it should favor us towards justice.
Yes.
Because I know that there's
Yes.
things that the Democrats do, the Republicans do,
Yes.
Labor and Conservative, both of them do unjust things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we should side with justice.
That's like, why do we have to spell that out? Like, why does that even have to be said? Why does it have to be said? How have we got to that point? Like, it has to be said that believers, people who followers of Jesus, or really of all faiths, I would even imagine, should be for the justice of others, or should speak up for justice. Like, what are we talking about here? But instead, what we're seeing is this subjective nature of wait. Who's speaking up for justice?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, no. I can't speak up for justice because Daniel's speaking up for justice, and Daniel's bald, and I've got plaits. So I mean, I can't speak up for justice with Daniel.
Yeah.
What we talking about here?
I don't trust people with plaits. No, I can't do that.
When I'm saying plaits, they're dreads. What am I talking about? Plaits, they're dreads. Rasta, bro. Rasta. But yeah, like, what are we saying? Like, what are we on about?
Yeah, and I was listening to there's a thing a YouTube thing with Kevin Burton and some other historians. They were talking with Ivan Myers, and they were saying some eye-opening things about Seventh-day Adventism, like the two-headed beast. So our doctrine used to say that America is the two-headed beast, right? But apparently the FBI didn't like that.
Okay. So
then we had to change it to the America will become the two-headed beast.
Okay. So now you're talking about interpretation of Revelation, just to catch everyone up. So that's fine. That's fine. So in some interpretations of kind of like Revelation and these animals that are depicted in it, in some traditions there's this idea of what these beasts represent, and in some interpretations, the idea was that one of these beasts represented America, right? And now you're saying that that's kind of been changed a little bit, and they had to change it because of powers that be, right?
Because the FBI threatened to put the Seventh-day Adventists in jail, and it makes me wonder. I say it the question, like, how many of our beliefs have been changed just to pacify people? Like Seventh-day Adventism, when we started, it was an abolitionist movement. Sojourner Truth was a Millerite. When we started, we were an abolitionist movement, but somehow along the way we've become comfortable Christians where we sit down. Man, I was intern pastor at a church, right? And it was like a real Republican church. And I was really, I wasn't offended, but I was like just taken aback. This lady stood up and was like, "It's so great to be Seventh-day Adventist. We can go to any church in the whole world and be accepted like his family." I'm like, what do you mean? Who can do that? Because like when you're our skin color, you can feel the tension sometimes. Like when you go to a church and they tell you the black church is down the street.
Yeah. So, all right then. So we've got these issues even within. I'm sure anyone who's been around church long enough has experienced some of these things, right? And I think, do you think, as we move to the future, because the church, it's weird because it's like between COVID and BLM, I see in many ways the church becoming, at least the structure of it, the church as we know it, to be slowly dying, right? To be slowly irrelevant. And of course, I have felt for maybe 5, 6, well, maybe nearly 10 years probably, that the church was on its way out in its current form anyway. And I did already feel as though, you know, in its current form, it would need to adapt or be labeled to the scrap heap, really.
It's like
now,
blockbuster.
Like blockbuster, which is why for me, I don't, but that's why what you have to say and what you share for me is so important, because the whole point is, Daniel, the whole point is that when we realize that we are the church, or I am the church and you are the church, rather than this structure and organization, that's that when God talks about the gates of hell shall not prevail, that's what it will not prevail against, right? Individuals who are the church, not this structure or organization or liturgy or management structure or organization. Right? This is not what it is. And yeah, so for the best part of 2020, like really, it's been, what's it been about? As we say, multiple services on the weekend, everyone slapping up their service. But that's, I mean, no, and to be fair, there are a lot of people who are doing other things or serving their community still, serving their people, finding creative ways to do that. But that should have been number one on the agenda anyway. And I don't care. I don't need to see your service on the weekend, to be fair. Like, I don't need it. I don't need that. Like, serve your people, serve your community. If I see you, I see you. If I don't, like, it's fine, because you can still be about what you're about, without this thing.
And that's why I said earlier, I think that divine service is an oxymoron, because Jesus doesn't live there. You know, it says in the, like, I'm making an ebook that will be coming out soon, right? Where I've not said any words. I've just taken the words of Matthew 5, the Beatitudes, the words of Matthew 7, Matthew 7, 21 to 23, and Matthew 25, 31 to 46, where Jesus says,
"What's wrong with the book of Luke? What's your problem?" I'm joking. I'm joking. Go on.
But like, you know, it just says, like, to me, it said, Jesus says, look, I bless these people. These are the people I'm not with, and this is how you be my friend. Like, these are the people who are not my friends and aren't coming to my house for my party, and this is how you be my friend, by servicing the people who are in need.
Like, is this rocket science? Because here's the thing, Daniel, right? I love that. Like, and this is why, an interesting idea, because it's almost as though, and I think this was quite clear in Jesus' ministry, and this is the irony of it, the downtrodden, it's almost like they already have their path straight to the kingdom. That's what the Beatitudes tell me. Like, like, blessed are the poor, you know, blessed are the hungry, so they will hunger and thirst no more. Like, it's almost like God saying, yo, you who are downtrodden right now, it's going to be painful.
You're good.
You're good.
And it says the same thing in James 2. The poor, the people who are poor are blessed in faith.
And to me, this is like the irony of it, because it's almost as though the judgment, the poor have almost got their fast pass to the kingdom, right? But those who have, they're going to be judged on what they did for those who didn't have.
And you know, it's really funny.
Yeah.
It's the people who are not poor who are creating doctrine and theology, while the people who are poor are ignored.
And this is a big one, because it changes the whole conversation, because the conversation becomes about, rather than you worried about, did you sin last night? What did you get up to? Or did you ask for forgiveness for, the cookie you stole, and all this type of, I guess, performative and kind of burn in hell kind of philosophy. What we're actually saying is, no. According to scripture, one of the main things that, I say Matthew, I think it's Matthew 25, yeah. One of the main things that you're going to be judged on is, when I needed a shelter, were you there? Were you there?
Yeah.
When I needed a shelter, were you there?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
it's very, very simple. So you go and you think it's about, oh, boom, boom, let me be perfect. Let me try and walk holy. Let me look the part.
Yeah.
Bro, you're missing, and it's right there. Like, when I was hungry, you fed me. And then they will turn to me, the text says, they will turn to me and say, Lord, when did I see you hungry and fed you? When did I see you in prison and visit you? As when you did it for the least of these, you did this for me.
Yeah. So when we help other people, we're not helping that homeless man with no teeth. We're helping Jesus. Like when I was in chaplaincy, I went to Seattle, and they have a statue out there at a Catholic church, and it's a homeless man with a blanket over him, and his feet are uncovered, and his feet have nail marks on them, and that really spoke a lot to me. Not only speaking to to us that we should give service to that people, but we should listen to that person, because in his struggle, it reveals who God is. And that's why a part of my journey, I try not to say this because it's not sexy, but I really like contextual theology. The theology of a person's experience, and I find that we don't hear enough of that. Like, we don't hear the theology of the Windrush. We don't hear the theology of the apartheid. We don't hear the theology, And I was like this. So this book I'm reading, called a Model of Theology, of Contextual Theology, by Stephen Bevins. He says, in the first line of the book, he says, there is no theology. There is no theology.
There is no, say that again, you just cut out. Say that again. There is no.
So there is no theology. There is only contextual theology. So there's female theology, there's feminine theology, black theology, liberation theology. There's only theology in the context of the oppressed. And many of our books don't come from that context. I'm not saying we should throw them away, but I'm saying I think that we should add and validate our own like, because I think we need to have a theology of people whose beards won't connect. No, because everyone's not blessed like you, just to have a full beard at birth.
I mean, I got a little yeah.
No, but
this. It's a bit.
But I mean, everyone has different struggles, and in everyone's struggle, it shows you a different perspective of God. Like,
but look how deep that is, because that's what the Bible is. The Bible is theology in context. Like, it's not someone sitting at a table rolling out doctrines. We are seeing how God moves amongst people in circumstances. Woo! Like, that's what you're seeing. The Bible is, there's context to it all. So why then do we feel, and this is really big, and I think that's what's going to be huge for us as we move forward as a people, is that we need to realize that, I guess, even in the struggle and even in things that are going on, we don't need to separate ourselves from it. Like, God is in that, right? God is in what's going on with the pandemic. God is in what's going on with BLM, and trying to kind of, for some reason, separate ourselves from the voice of the oppressed. The oppressed are trying to speak. They're trying to say what they're saying, and we're saying, nah, ban them. We can't roll with them because we don't agree with X, Y, Z. I'm like, the oppressed are speaking. Lean in. Even if you can't even see that they're speaking for you. This is what's so deep. They're actually speaking for you as well, because you think you're here in Britain or here in, you know, certain parts of America, and you think you're untouched by this, but
Yeah.
trust me, you get caught or you get seen in the wrong neck of the woods, how you look like, you're
Yeah.
going to see if you're
Yeah.
separate from what they're
Yeah.
about or not. So
Mhm.
I think that's huge. All theology has context, right?
And
Because
this is
it's
why I
how
love
God moves
you.
amongst people.
This is why I love you, right? Because I believe that music is a person's cry, and like like the way that hip hop and urban music is demonized in church, it's like you're silencing a whole community.
Yeah.
So like every time I see you jamming out to some music, I'm like, yes, yes, Luke.
No, listen, mate. I've said it before. Like, I love hip hop. I've said it in the church. I don't think they'll invite me back again. Like, I love hip hop. I love grime. I love all of it. Not because people think it's glorifying different things. No, it's telling the struggle, mate. It's telling their story.
Yeah.
And as a black man here in London, right?
Yeah.
I'm not far removed from that life. I don't.
Yeah.
Like, I always think about that. Just the fact that, why am I not caught up in the madness? Like, I have to thank God, because there's nothing special about me why I'm not caught up in that same stuff. And when I listen to that music, it just reminds me, like, but for the grace of God, that would be my story too, right? And I resonate that even in that story, the art that they're creating is amazing, bro. I just love it.
Yo, I love it because I love it especially. Well, first of all, like to me, Gets is the best MC, right?
No one listened to this thought this is the direction it was going to go in. But yeah, go on.
but then, in my memory, I'm like, I used to sit next to that dude at Highland House.
Oh yeah, you went to school with him, didn't you?
So like even their struggle, their cries are ours. Like, even though we try and say that it's not, like, there's been times where I went to church in Croydon. Like, when I left church, walked out of church to walk home, and someone's tried to jack my phone, and I've had to be like, "No, my bad, forgive me, Lord." You know, but like, their struggle is not separated from ours.
It's not separate. It's not separate. Like,
And
that's what is so scary about the opposition that there has been to the BLM movement, and being so saddened for me. It's like, how have you forgotten what you've been wrapped in cotton wool in your church service for so long that you've forgotten? Like, you're forgetting people and then ruling them out for because of some philosophy, or because you watched a video that tried to dismantle what it was about, when really the concept itself, Black Lives Matter. And as the stories have rolled out, and have you seen, like, there's been conversations on normal TV, like The Talk, where you had black people and mixed race people, and basically people from the African diaspora, just talking about what their struggle has been here in the UK. And it was mad to see on national TV, when, like, we've lived it and we know it, but the bravery to kind of talk about it right now, to admit it, and even of these channels to kind of broadcast it, it's unprecedented in that sense, right? And that's why it's like, whoa, the rest, because this is what the world's good at doing, right? When I say the world, I just mean everything that's not, I guess, the church, right? So society as a whole. What society is very good at doing, and businesses and all these people, they're trend riders, right? They're trend riders. So everyone's turning vegan right now because it's a trend, right? It may be a trend that lasts, but then what happens is the big businesses, they're not dumb. Like, because they want to stay in existence. So what they do is they're like, okay, boom, I'm Burger King. You couldn't get less vegan than Burger King. But I'm gonna make a vegan burger, right? I'm a TV channel which probably, you know, a TV channel that we don't really show. We don't really have diversity in our shows. But you know what? This is big, so boom, let's speak to that right now. Let's go into that. Imagine imagine if these individuals and these people and these groups instead said, nah, BLM, nah, Marxist, nah, BLM, nah, I don't agree with that, because apparently, you know, they're trying to disrupt whatever the different debates are about it. right? And just try to dismiss it. But they don't dismiss it. That doesn't mean they agree with every element of it. They don't dismiss it. But the church, or sorry, I shouldn't say it, individuals who represent the church or are part of the church have been so willing to kneecap it, right? And that is being sad. And someone said, you know what, yeah, they agree. They think it's self-hatred. It's like you want to be so woke that you put yourself back to sleep, mate. You woke up and then you went back to sleep. Like, you're so woke that even something that can potentially speaks to your struggle, you're willing to disregard because what? Like, it's a madness, Daniel. Has that same vibe been out there in the US? Because obviously, you know, your circles will be different to mine. Has that sentiment been the same? Like, let's try and distance ourselves, even though we're Christians, even though we're black, we've got to distance ourselves from that movement.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's in our families. It's it's all around us, and like that's why I formulated the thought that I shared earlier, that, you know, sometimes faith pacifies our, you know, our faith is pacified. So faith should be speaking out against injustice. But oftentimes when the doctrine's been written by people that don't look like us, they write the doctrine to say that, yo, black people should be quiet. Women should wear hats and keep silent in church. You know, there's the doctrine is written to pacify our faith, and that's why it's so important for us to stand on God's word. You know, the word that God gave to us through the Bible.
No, I love that, and you're right, and yeah, man, I want to, you know, Instagram's warning me now we've got about 1.5 minutes left, so I should be wrapping up. But, you know, Daniel, I just want to say thank you so much for this time, bro. I really appreciate it. I want to just encourage you to, you know, we're all on a journey, and as I know, just like you are experiencing, I know that it's not always monetarily we're not always up, but, you know, at the end of the day, you know, we're just always blessed, bro. And freedom, to me, the freedom that we speak with you and I, it can't be paid for, man. It can't be paid. Like, I just love just speaking to the things that are important, and I know that you do as well. And nothing's gonna stop us, bro. Like, nothing's gonna stop us. So I just want to encourage you, keep going, bro. Keep going. And when I get my windfall, trust me, I'll cut you off a slice, brother. So you don't need to worry about it.
I don't even need it. God's got my own whole cake.
Okay. Hey.
Like, you share it with other people, but like it's fine, because like one day we're gonna be up. This struggle is necessary.
Yeah.
Because if we were successful from the beginning, we wouldn't appreciate it.
No, and to be fair, I think it would. Again, money is another way that people can get pacified. So, brother, I just want to say thank you so much. They're going to cut us off. I don't want them to do that. We deserve more. So,
thanks for having us. I've been cut off before, twice.
Blessings, brother. Love you.
Blessings,
guys.
thanks for having me.
Daniel over at Hold the Ministry, See what he's up to.
And these shirts are going to be coming.
Get these tops. Yeah, we'll be grabbing some of that merch. Blessings, bro.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me, man. Good talking to you.
Man.